Hey, it's Connor here. In one of my recent projects, I took some ordinary maple firewood logs and transformed them into a keepsake box. One feature that I added to this box were some walnut splines. In this video, I want to show you how you can build this simple spline jig and how it can give your miter joints more strength and a touch of aesthetic appeal. I'm going to share with you the steps to build this jig and also how to create the splines and finish the whole process. This is how the box turned out, and as you can see, splines really do add a lot of character. Shopfix. It's for the love of woodworking. For this jig, I chose to use some 1/2-inch MDF that I had on hand. The bread and butter of this jig is a set of 6 right-angle triangles. To create these triangles, I simply cut the MDF at a 45-degree angle on my miter saw. Then afterwards, I reposition my miter saw to 0 degrees and then cut out the triangle. To build the size of spline jig that I did, you'll want 4 right-angle triangles with 4-inch sides and 2 right-angle triangles with 5.5-inch sides. The 2 triangles that are larger will be notched out to create parallel clamping surfaces. These 2 triangles are going to ensure that the jig is at a perfect 90-degree angle. To create a bigger spline jig, you'll simply create larger triangles. I promise you, this is super easy and you'll understand after the next step. Many woodworkers rely on 45-degree bevel cuts for a jig like this, but I wanted this to be simple for everyone, so instead we will create a butt joint with 2 MDF panels that are 5.5 inches wide and 8 inches long. If you want to use this jig to spline larger projects, you want to increase the length of the jig. We will take the 2 5.5-inch triangles that have parallel notches and use them to ensure that our 2 MDF panels stay at a perfect 90 degrees. You can see here how the notches allow us to clamp these boards together with ease. Afterwards, you'll want to check and make sure the boards are square. Once these boards were glued together, I decided to clean up the edges to make the jig look a bit nicer. Since we used a butt joint, one side will be longer than the other, and I just decided to trim this to fit with my table saw. Next, I headed over to my miter saw to clean up the other edges. These steps are solely to make the jig look cleaner. These 2 steps have no effect on the performance or accuracy of the spline jig and can be skipped to create the jig much faster. Now we need to assemble all the pieces together on top of a square MDF panel that'll act as the base to this jig. To make sure that the jig is parallel to the table saw fence, we need to mark a parallel line. I did a dry run setup to make sure everything lined up. This is how the jig will look after it's all glued together. Next, I will show you the most accurate way to assemble all the pieces together. First, we will clamp a square reference board to the parallel line that we drew. We will be assembling this jig entirely with glue, as screws and nails have a high tendency to split MDF. I'll add glue to the right angle triangles and glue them to the bottom panel with the right angle facing out and the edges of the triangles touching. These boards essentially create a perfect 45-degree cradle to mount the other piece onto. After clamping these triangles in place, I cleaned up the glue squeeze out and then placed glue on the top of these triangles. Now all I have to do is set the other piece into the cradle that has been made. I'll secure it in place by placing one clamp on the top. You'll want to let the glue set up for about 20 minutes before moving on to the next step. Now we can remove the reference board, but I would leave on the top clamp as the glue needs a bit more time to fully cure. To finish the assembly process, I flip the jig so that I can mount the reference board to the other side with clamps. If you feel comfortable tackling both sides all at once, I suppose that would work and make it much faster to assemble. I tend to work on the slower side, so it was easier for me to focus on one side at a time. All that I needed to do from here was add glue to the other 2 triangles and secure them in place with a clamp. Now that the triangles are secured in place, I can remove the reference board. I'll be leaving on the remaining clamps for about an hour to give the glue more time to fully set. Once the glue was fully dry, I removed all the clamps, marked the center of the jig, and cut a kerf all the way through. This kerf doesn't necessarily need to be in the exact center to work right, but I think the center position is best. After this kerf was cut out, I also decided to add a runner on the left side of the jig. In hindsight, I don't think this is quite necessary for this size of jig, since it will be referencing the table saw fence anyways. However, it doesn't hurt to add one, especially if you make the jig any bigger than featured in this video. The final step is to draw a line that extends the kerf that we cut to the top of the jig. This will allow us to properly position the spline cuts. To use the jig, you'll clamp on a square reference board to position the piece where you want to cut the spline. You simply measure the distance from the edge of the box to the intended location for the spline and make sure the kerf line on the jig is positioned to reflect that measurement. Once you have the reference board clamped in this position, double check that the box is aligned and then fully tighten the clamp to secure it in place. Now that the jig has been properly set up, it's time to make the spline cut. You'll notice that I also clamped the box into position. However, to reduce the time it takes to cut the splines, I think simply holding the box in place is sufficient enough. As the blade passes through the jig, it will create a curve at whatever height that you set the blade to. Since there will be a spline in each corner, I simply rotate the box until each corner has been cut out. I tend to like the 3 spline look, so I went with that design for this box. You'll simply repeat this process until all the splines have been cut out. To create the strips of wood to place into the spline cut, I used a crosscut sled with the stop clamped to the proper thickness. You want to shoot for a snug fit, but not too tight, as there needs to be plenty of room for the glue. After placing glue on both sides of these walnut strips, I place them into the spline, making sure to seat them firmly against the back of the kerf. I repeat this step until all 12 are complete. Now all that's left to do is flush cut the splines with some kind of Japanese flush cut saw. Being able to create splines quickly and accurately can not only add strength to your miter joints, but it can add a whole new level of craftsmanship to your woodworking projects. If you have any suggestions, questions, or thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and I really hope this video comes in handy. Take care.